Hey everybody. As you can tell, I moved into a new place, got some, and was able to hang up some of my posters. Let's say the two Spider-Man posters behind me seem quite appropriate since I'm doing a commentary companions episode on Spider-Man 2. Now, I should point out that I'm doing a commentary on the theatrical cut, so I'm not going to be talking about Spider-Man 2.1, the special edition. I do have the special edition to Spider-Man 2.1, but I'm not discussing that. Fun as it is, as I do think the additional scenes do add a bit more character development, and seeing J. Jonah Jameson in that Spider-Man outfit is pretty funny. But anyway, Spider-Man 2 is available to stream over here for your convenience. You can listen to the commentary while streaming Spider-Man 2, or you can watch Spider-Man 2 on DVD while listening to my commentary companion. Either way works for me. But anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy Spider-Man 2. Welcome to Commentary Companions. I'm your host, Tony Garcia, and today we're looking at Spider-Man 2. Not the PlayStation 5 video game, but the 2004 movie that was released, in 2004. I guess it's definitely surreal that I have to pretty much clarify whenever someone says Spider-Man 2. Someone's like, are you talking about the PlayStation 5 video game, or are you talking about the Sam Raimi sequel? And of course, I have to say, yeah, I'm talking about the Sam Raimi sequel. But I'm sure you figured that out if you're around my age and you don't have a PlayStation 5 or any other video game console. But yeah, Spider-Man 2. I mean, that is something that I have been wanting to do ever since I formed this show, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I mean, I have such a sentimental soft spot for Spider-Man 2 because, I watched this in theaters. And I didn't even realize that the cool part is this title sequence that recaps the first film. All of those scenes were illustrated by comic book artist Alex Ross. I mean, as a grown-up, I can recognize the art style now. I mean, and it's really cool seeing Alex Ross pretty much illustrating and recapping the events to the first film, and especially since I really do like Alex Ross's artwork. It might be my favorite. And it's beautiful to look at. I mean, was it someone at Sony or was it Sam Raimi that asked to do this? But yeah, it's really cool seeing Alex Ross recreate the kiss scene from the first film. Really awesome. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, what a roller coaster this was, because turns out it was not easy making this film, and there were a lot of things that pretty much could have made this film go to shit. And the film that we got, it's a miracle that we got it, and I think it's a miracle that it turned out so great. Especially since, here's an interesting fact. Spider-Man 2 was originally going to be called The Amazing Spider-Man, and it would have had a plot reveal that Peter Parker's parents were on the run to avoid the wrath of Oscorp because they took their research, which included the spider having Parker DNA. If you think I'm recapping the plot to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, you're not far off. That's pretty much what could have happened, but thankfully that never did happen. It was going to be way more overstuffed, and alternate titles aside from The Amazing Spider-Man that would have occurred would have been titles like Spider-Man No More and Spider-Man Unmasked and Spider-Man Lives. Okay, I did not realize the guy playing Peter's pizza boss was in The Proposal and Evil. It's kind of interesting. Deep dish pizzas. Yeah, Spider-Man No More, Spider-Man Lives, and Spider-Man Unmasked. Spider-Man 2 is also notable for being the last collaboration between Sam Raimi and Danny Elfman due to a creative falling out. It wouldn't be until Oz the Great and Powerful that Elfman and Raimi would make peace again. But I never even realized this, even when I was watching Spider-Man 3. I think it might have had something to do with the stock music, because apparently Sam Raimi liked the stock music more. Fun fact, originally Stan Lee was supposed to be the one saying, "He stole that guy's pizza," but problems with the shot resulted in it being left out and refilmed with the random black guy. But yeah, I do think it's kind of fun that this film starts with Spider-Man delivering pizza. It's a good way to start it. Uh-oh, this guy's gonna steal some pizza. At least I get a free slice. No, you don't. And look at that. A young Zoe Deschanel before she was cast as Bones. I didn't even realize this was Emily Deschanel. Or is it Zoe Deschanel? It's a Deschanel, you get the idea. And it's Bones from Bones. So you probably know that. But it's actually pretty surreal seeing her. I mean, gotta give Peter credit. At least he's trying to make sure he doesn't make much of a mess. Free pizza. Nope. You're all out of chances. Now, Alvin Sargent provided the script polish to Spider-Man 2 as a favor to the film's producer, Lars Ziskin, whom he was good friends with. Now, Tobey Maguire almost got replaced in Spider-Man 2 for a few reasons. One, due to a back injury he got on Seabiscuit. His back pain made him seem unenthusiastic and difficult to be around when not completing a cyberscan for the visual effects. In Maguire's defense, he was exhausted from filming Seabiscuit. Two, Columbia Pictures assumed that Tobey was using his back problems as a way to be financially compensated. Everyone thought that Tobey and Kirsten Dunst, who dated at the time, wouldn't have the same chemistry after their breakup. It was actually Universal chief Ron Meyer who helped get Tobey Maguire get reinstated as Spider-Man. Connections help. Now, at one point, Jake Gyllenhaal was considered to replace Tobey Maguire due to his romantic relationship with Dunst, and they had potential chemistry. It's kind of a funny irony because Maguire and Gyllenhaal would collaborate and star as brothers in the war drama Brothers from 2009, and Gyllenhaal would play Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, it's like rain on your wedding day, am I right? Ugh. They should have called it Spider-Man 2, Punching Bag Peter. And we get the first on-screen appearance of Dr. Kurt Connors. Something. I think this is the last civil moment for Peter and Harry. Yeah, awkward. Now, filming for Spider-Man 2 began before an official script was completed. Going the Iron Man route. Ooh, if only Harry knew that he was looking at Spider-Man right now. Now, Sam Raimi originally wanted to use Kingpin with Doc Ock, but this was impossible due to Kingpin appearing in Daredevil. Kind of ironic. I mean, but the real question is, if this was possible, would Michael Clark Duncan reprise his role as Kingpin, or would they get a different actor to play Kingpin to kind of differentiate from Kingpin? Especially since Duncan would reprise his role as Kingpin in Spider-Man the Animated Series. Kingpin has a very strange history. I mean, sometimes I guess he's kind of got a joint custody with Sony and Marvel, because Marvel, of course, allowed Kingpin to appear on the Netflix show, and of course, but then Sony would use Kingpin for in Into the Spider-Verse. It's kind of funny that they're mentioning Scooter, because Peter used to ride a motorcycle. I sometimes forget that. I mean, yeah, he does. Yep, 2 years. I would silently walk up the stairs with a look that says, "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed." What flavor cake was it? Taking out the trash at night. I didn't even know that Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst dated. I wouldn't have guessed as a 7-year-old. Oh boy, nothing. Something. The Single Village? Yep, so she's not in the village. Oh, yeah. Mary Jane is not someone you want to disappoint. No, sir. Perfect timing, Mr. Ditkovich. Oof. Why not eyes like a hawk? Oop. I didn't even realize the actress playing Ursula Ditkovich was in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. That's mind blown. Now, Peter's apartment was based on Toby's observations of his friends living in cramped and run-down New York apartments. And one other detail that I like is that in his apartment, Peter has a picture of Mary Jane before he was bitten by the spider, which represents the last moment of innocence in Peter's life. Now, Sam Raimi chose Alfred Molina to play Otto Octavius after his wife saw him in Frida, starring Salma Hayek. Other actors considered for the role of Octavius were Chris Cooper, Robert De Niro, David Duchovny, Ed Harris, Sam Neill, and Liev Schreiber. Now, Dr. Octopus made his comic book debut in The Amazing Spider-Man number 3. Now, Alfred Molina lost some weight for the role of Doc Ock, considering he had to gain some for the part of Diego Rivera in Frida. He said he wanted Doc Ock to have the build of a 1950s weightlifter. Now, back when Canon owned the rights and was developing the Spider-Man movie, Dr. Octopus would have played a prominent role as both antagonist and as a mentor to Peter. Not only are these mentor-enemy aspects seen in Spider-Man 2, but also in the 94 animated series. Now, I did not know that the actress playing Rosie was also the voice of Mother Gothel in Tangled. I never would have imagined. Now, I could be wrong, but in earlier drafts of James Cameron's Spider-Man script, Dr. Octopus was considered as a main villain with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the character. And this Doc Ock would always say, "Okie dokie." Imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger in his Austrian accent saying, "Okie dokie." I don't think I could take that version of Doc Ock seriously. Thank goodness that never happened. Opposites attract. I'd beg to differ. Yeah, maybe back then, but the 2020s are different. The poem that Peter reads is The Four Winds by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, which was written on November 10th, 1855. So on November 10th, The Four Winds will be 170 years old. This makes me think of that joke from Paddington 2, where Paddington unintentionally put his red hat in all the prison clothes and they all turned pink. This song that's playing, it has a very Napoleon Dynamite vibe going, which I kind of like. Yep, run, Peter, run! I did not know that the actor playing Ditkovich was the best friend in Moscow on the Hudson. But yeah, it's true. Ah, the struggles of affording flowers. I bet you a bundle of flowers today would cost $50. Uh-oh. When Peter flips over an oncoming car, Tobey Maguire performed the stunt himself. A stuntman also performed it, but Sam Raimi thought Maguire's looked more natural to be used. So he used Tobey's stunt himself. Oof. Ah, perfect timing, Spidey. And I'm high. 35 Spider-Man suits were made for the film, which I think is quite interesting. And one of the I forgot to mention one of the other costume designers of the film that worked on all three films. Another of the costume designers that worked on all three Spider-Man movies was James Acheson. Other projects that Acheson worked on as a costume designer were for Doctor Who from 1972 to 1976, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, Brazil, Highlander, The Last Emperor, Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein, The Man in the Iron Mask, the 2003 Daredevil movie, Man of Steel, and Absolutely Anything. Mary Jane's stage play was filmed at the Ivor Theatre in Hollywood. Like, he's had enough. At the time, I didn't know that this was Bruce Campbell. But I recognize him now. Groovy. Yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Oh man, this violinist I don't know if she botched the Spider-Man theme or if she just made it funnier. Maybe both? Ooh. Better than Colin singing. Or my dad singing. And there's John Jameson. Now, originally, Jerry O'Connell actually auditioned for the role of John Jameson. Imagine that. Now, of course, John Jameson made his official appearance in the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And he also, I sometimes forget that he was also a werewolf known as Man-Wolf. Now, isn't that crazy? And I think he's married to She-Hulk, that John Jameson. Now, James Acheson made subtle changes to to Spider-Man's costume from the previous film. The colors were made richer and bolder. The spider emblem was given more elegant lines. The muscle suit underneath was made into pieces to give a better sense of movement. And the helmet Tobey Maguire wore under his mask was also improved, adding a false jaw for better movement and magnetic eyepieces, which were easier to remove. Isn't that impressive? Uh-oh. And who knows if he'll be able to crawl. Well, crawl down. The guy's like, well, this might be the strangest thing to see here. Strangest part of my walk. Imagine he comes home, he's like, honey, you will not believe what I saw when I was walking Fido. Yeah, I still don't know who that guy is. I thought he was Discount Patrick Dempsey or something. You know, if Deadpool was in Peter's position, he would be more obscene. Yep, everywhere I go, I see her face. But hey, that's a good modeling gig. Yeah, making excuses. If he was Pinocchio, his nose would be growing. Or in this case, Big Pot. Now, I forgot to mention this, but the scene where Peter's having dinner with Dr. Octavius and his wife was intended as a sad mirror of the family life that Peter wants but can never have. Now, this is what Danny Elfman had to say about his falling out with Sam Raimi. He was quoted as saying, "To see such a profound negative change in a human being was almost enough to make me feel like I didn't want to make films anymore." 30 nondescript cars were purchased for use by the film's stunt drivers direct during action sequences. By the end of filming, all 30 had been destroyed. Now, Doc Ock's lab is the New York venue Anthology Films archive. Now, Sam Raimi wanted to include Dr. Octopus in the first Spider-Man movie, but Sam thought it wouldn't do the film justice to have a third origin in there, which is a smart decision. Of course, it if he had made this in the 2010s, the studio would have forced him to include Doc Ock at some point. You know, the lighting strangely makes the mechanical arms look CG, but it's really cool knowing that these are indeed practical. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, that looks painful. But yeah, wow, that the fact that these mechanical arms were used with puppetry and a combination of puppetry and CG is really amazing, and even the shots that are meant to look like computer graphics really do hold up. I see you. Yeah, sorry. I'm just admiring the visual effects. Nothing could go wrong. It turns out tritium is actually a real element and actually can be found. I I didn't know this, but it's true. Hold on to your butts. Or as Luther, the Obama Zanga translator, would say, hold on to your little white butts. That's some good CG. Wait, is that BD Wong? Maybe not. Both sinister and amazing. Uh-oh. That's not good. Yeah, I don't think it's going to stabilize. Overload in progress. System overload. Yeah, system unstable. Yeah. Yeah, totally in control. Oh man, if Spider-Man wasn't there to save him in time, he'd he'd probably never walk again. Oof. That's gotta hurt. Yeah, that's the most PG-13 death ever. I mean, ooh, yeah, that's definitely horrifying. Huh? There goes your inhibitor chip. Ugh, talk about blowing up in his face. Yep. Biggest mistake ever. Trying to help, you dingus. I believe one of the doctors is played by director John Landis, pretty good director of American Werewolf in London. Now, for the hospital scene, the production crew had to build tentacles that were 13 feet long. When looking at the finished scene, the designers couldn't tell what was CGI and what was puppetry. The combined effects were so seamless to the naked eye. The designers were especially proud that the tentacles and what they looked like weren't leaked to the press before the film came out. It was all the more surprising to the audience. The tentacles were also expensive and in short supply, so security on the set was tight to prevent any from being stolen. Yep. Not the nails, lady. And she's credited as Nails. Yeah, that's John Landis. I could kind of recognize him. Look at me, I'm Leatherface. Oh, did you really think that chainsaw could stop us? Think again, bitch. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Fun fact, Dr. Octopus's mechanical tentacles actually all have names. Their names are Larry, Harry, Flo, and Mo. I didn't know this, but I actually find that a bit amusing. Now, I wonder which one's Larry, which one's Harry, which one's Flo, and which one's Mo. Even the arms are in agony, screaming, no! Now, would you believe it if I said Alfred Molina is a big fan of Marvel? It checks out. Oh yeah, that's art right there. A fun fact about the violinist. Oh, the violinist who crops up throughout the movie, serenading Spider-Man, had an additional scene that was deleted from the film. When Harry hears her from the balcony of his father's townhouse, he pours a glass of scotch on her. Perfect reference to the Marvel character of the same name. Yeah, but it's even more hilariously ironic since Sam Raimi would direct the Doctor Strange sequel, which is actually pretty cool. Ooh, does Robbie know that Peter is Spider-Man? That would have been a lot of paperwork. I mean, he is an astronaut. The perfect meme. Even the actor playing Robbie is smirking. Yeah, interesting transition. I was like, diddle-doo-doo, 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 diddle-doo-doo. Now, when Dr. Octopus carries his tentacles, those are props. When the tentacles carry the Doctor, it is CGI. To accomplish this effect, a 20-foot-high rig held Alfred Molina to glide him through his surroundings, with the CGI tentacles with the tentacles added in later. However, it was always preferred to use edge effects as puppets since it saved money, and each scene was always filmed using them first to see if CGI was truly necessary. Now, filming was put on hiatus for 8 weeks in order to build Doc Ock's pier layer. In total, it took 15 weeks to build the collapsing set. The hospital scene started out as a test shoot, but it came together so well they decided to use it. Sam Raimi made it clear in the director's commentary that it was the arms attacking the doctors and not Doc Ock himself, although he wasn't sure if he made that clear in the scene. It makes sense. The movie was sent to cinemas under the name Spray Paint to try and avoid the attention of pirates. Also, the nurse being dragged along the floor by one of Doc Ock's tentacles, scraping it up as she pulled backwards, was achieved by the simple expedient of having the floor made of wax. The production was unusually lucky for such a big movie filming on numerous outdoor locations in that it never rained. Motorcycle chains and piano wires make the sounds of Doc Ock's tentacles. In the scene when he tears open a bank vault, this sound is made by scraping a hubcap across the floor. Each one of Doc Ock's tentacles are controlled by 4 people who rehearsed each scene with Alfred Molina to get a more natural sense of movement. The sound designers chose not to use servo sound effects to complete the illusion that the tentacles are a part of Doc Ock's body. The bank was also used in Police Academy 6. Ugh. Well, that stinks. Now, one of the draft ideas for Spider-Man 2 had Octavius being younger and being infatuated with Mary Jane, and being the creator of the genetically enhanced spider. And Spider-Man also would have fought the Lizard and the Black Cat. This idea was submitted by Michael Chabon. Thankfully, producer Avi Arad rejected the screenplay, largely because he didn't like the idea of yet another love triangle. Probably one of the few smart decisions Avi Arad ever made. One of the things that attracted Alfred Molina to the character of Dr. Octopus was his twisted, sardonic sense of humor. It's like, you're running out of fluid! Yeah, working at a bank can sometimes make you dishonest. Except for those that work at credit unions. Couldn't dodge that. Guess the lady must be afraid of robo-tentacles. For the sequence where Aunt May is taken hostage and later aids Spider-Man, Rosemary Harris performed the action scenes herself. That's quite admirable. I mean, you might think her reaction's cartoonish, but how would you react? You'd probably react the same too. Oh, sorry, that's kind of funny. Kind of right up there with Heath Ledger's Joker saying very poor choice of words when asking Joker to let Rachel go. And there's Stanley again. I'm kind of surprised Aunt May didn't recognize her nephew's voice muffled. Or maybe she did. I don't know. I don't know, the sudden silence kind of works for this. Oof, that's gotta hurt. Huh. Well, that's good. Now, the knives in Doctor Octopus's tentacles, they actually aren't in the comics. The knife in the tentacle was actually Sam Raimi's idea. Now, Rosemary Harris enjoyed doing her own stunts. Contrarily, Alfred Molina didn't because he claims he's not very good at them, and he doesn't like taking work away from real stuntmen. Yep, I want the bottle. Ooh, nice save. Who describes an astronaut as delicious? That's very unprofessional. Stars and stripes forever. Oh. Oof. Which shows that Mary Jane is ironically not into poetry. You would think she would, given that she's a stage actress. But composer Christopher Young was called in at the very last minute to rescore Spider-Man 2, thus making it Young's first collaboration with Sam Raimi before Spider-Man 3. Yeah, he needs a drink that's empty. Ouch. Now, filming was originally scheduled in February 2003, but Tobey Maguire injured his arm, causing filming to be delayed 2 months. Oof. Not a good day for him. Yeah, this is definitely painful for him. Nice dissolve. Uh-oh. Oof. That's gotta hurt. An additional fight scene between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus on a collapsing water tower was storyboarded but never used in the finished film. With a budget of $200 million, the movie shared the record for the most expensive U.S. movie ever made with Titanic. That record was beaten by King Kong in 2005. Uh-oh. This vision's starting to get nearsighted. Been there. And there's even a joke in the newspaper that Peter's reading that says, "Can chronic pain lead to brain shrinkage?" The full-scale interior of Doc Ock's Pure Lab was built at Sony's Stage 30, which is called the Esther Williams stage, because it contains the water tank used for so many of Williams's films. For this film, after the set was constructed, the tank was filled to a level of 4 feet deep, which was visible in many shots as the river water beneath the rotting floorboards. Now, David Koepp's original script for Spider-Man in 1999. Doctor Octopus was intended to appear in a large role. And before I continue, well, this entire scene, actually, I really like. Well, I guess I continue with the fact. There's Uncle Ben. Now, while many had said Dr. Octopus was supposed to team up with Green Goblin to fight Spider-Man, in Koepp's script, Dr. Otto Octavius worked at Oscorp, but his project on his mechanical arms was overdue and was fired by Norman Osborn. But he snaps at him, and as he's being electrocuted, causing his chest harness to melt into his now burned flesh, the green gas affects Norman Osborn simultaneously. During the parade scene, Doc Ock would watch the fight with Spider-Man on his TV and discovers Norman is wearing the suit from the lab, and he wants revenge. Instead of Green Goblin asking Jameson on who takes the pictures of Spider-Man, it's Doc Ock and tells Peter to find Spider-Man and kill Norman for him. The climax was completely different from the movie, set in a foggy, wintry morning where Green Goblin kidnaps MJ, and Spider-Man chases him to the Brooklyn Bridge where Doc Ock follows to watch. During the fight on the bridge, MJ jams a pumpkin bomb in the glider funnel before Green Goblin leaves and blows up midair where he's caught in Spider-Man's web. Norman originally didn't die and was arrested and was exposed by the FBI, and Doc Ock, heightened from the police, promises he will kill Spider-Man, setting him as the main villain for the sequel. At the time, Robert De Niro was one of the considered actors at the time, and the designs of the character were dealt with for 3 months before being removed from the script. Which I think was a good idea. No more. And this entire scene is an homage to The Amazing Spider-Man number 50, otherwise known as Spider-Man No More, which was actually quite an important comic as it was also the first appearance of, coincidentally, the Kingpin. It would have been kind of fitting to have Kingpin in Spider-Man 2 with Peter dropping Spider-Man. How interesting it would have been. But, things happen, and rights issues prevented that. Alright, so I know that Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head was originally written for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and was an Oscar winner, winning Best Original Song. I didn't know this because Spider-Man 2 was my first introduction to Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Didn't know this, but hey, now I know. And I think it really does work for Spider-Man 2 as Peter tries to cope with being normal. Please just say I'm free. Uh-oh. Now, Tobey Maguire is actually a vegetarian in real life, so Toby is eating a tofu dog and not a real hot dog. Who knew? Apparently, that blonde lady behind Peter is supposed to be Gwen Stacy. Supposedly. Nothing's worrying me. It's quite an elegant accent. Oops, surprise. Hi. Hi. Oh, the director's like, ugh, I can't even with this lady. I mean, that's fair. Where are your glasses? So Mary Jane doesn't go to college? Hmm. Now, director Sam Raimi felt that the film had to thematically explore Peter's internal conflict with his personal wants against his responsibility, the positives and negatives of his chosen path, and how he ultimately decides that he can be happy as a heroic figure. Raimi stated the story was partly influenced by Superman 2 from 1980, which also explored the title hero giving up his responsibilities. The sequel story is mainly taken from the comic book stories Amazing Spider-Man number 50. According to Raimi, Peter Parker's story is about a life out of balance. Peter is caught between a life where he tries to help people and atone for his uncle's death, with his Spider-Man alter ego, and another where he tries to balance his studies, occupation as a photographer, and his relationship with his family and friends. Peter acknowledges that he cannot be with Mary Jane without endangering her, due to his Spider-Man alter ego, fearing that if his enemies would ever find out about his true identity, they would target his loved ones. As a result, Peter distances himself from Mary Jane, but eventually rekindles his relationship with her after she finds out about his dual life and struggles he has faced. What I think is interesting is that Rosemary Harris later appeared with Marissa Tomei, one of her successors as Aunt May Parker, in Before the Devil Knows You're Dead from 2007. In early pre-production of the movie, there was a huge demand by fans to see Venom appear in the sequel. Sam Raimi would respond to this by answering, I need to read more about Spidey comics to understand why Venom hates Peter so much. I didn't use it in the first two films because I didn't know much about Venom. By the time Spider-Man 3 was in development, Raimi still didn't quite understand the character, but by that point, and didn't want to use the character he had little knowledge on. I think the whole the Spider-Man costume debacle is a reference to the Spider-Man suit being stolen on set. Although Spider-Man in the comics fought the Chameleon first, Sam Raimi was attached to the idea of Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin in the first film and wanted to bring Doc Ock in a sequel, which makes sense. Now, David Koepp originally planned out his own trilogy when writing the first movie, all having different tones within each film. He wanted to tell the Gwen Stacy, Harry Osborn story, but spaced everything out differently. His sequel, which would have been titled The Amazing Spider-Man, was planned to have a $75 or $80 million budget, and its movie length would have also been shorter. It featured Peter Parker learning that his parents weren't killed in a random plane crash, but were secretly working for the government and were murdered by their colleague Otto Octavius, soon to become Dr. Octopus. Kind of reminds me of when Joker was Jack Napier in the Tim Burton movie. It was described to have a rougher, edgier, almost R-rated tone, if not R-rated. One of the examples had Doc Ock killing Captain Stacy and was referred to by the Daily Bugle as a cop killer. It also introduced Gwen Stacy, who ends up dying in the middle of the movie. That follows sort of the Empire Strikes Back model, according to Koepp. Finally, the third film, titled The Spectacular Spider-Man, would have had completely different villains, although we don't know who was planned, but it would have been more family-friendly to help each movie be made for a specific audience. The first for kids and adults, the second for adults, and the third purely for little kids. It was generally agreed when looking back at the first film that the key component it missed was vertigo. Hence, for Spider-Man 2, all the CGI was amped up and a lot of the action takes place on the sides of buildings. This is probably the most tense and quiet scene, but I didn't think this would actually happen when first watching it. I lied to you. The interior of Aunt May's house is the same sets built for the first Spider-Man movie. I'm sorry for my lack of stating facts right now. It's just this scene really does hold up over 20 years later. I mean, especially with Toby and Rosemary's acting. I mean, Toby sounds heartbroken and guilty and tearful while delivering these lines, and Rosemary uses a lot of nonverbal acting that really works to the film's benefit. And we don't know what happens after she goes upstairs. Like, maybe she's screaming or crying. I mean, it still haunts me, and I don't know. But it's definitely the most mature scene out there. Now, Sam Raimi wanted the movie to be set in an idealized New York City, including elevated trains. The scenes featuring fighting on the exterior of a commuter train amidst a crowd of skyscrapers were filmed in Chicago, Illinois, on the famous elevated loop standing in for what most likely is the IRT 9th Avenue lane, torn down in 1940 with routes transferred to underground subway lines. Chicago L trains, in particular 2200 series cars, recognizable by their blinker-type doors, were made up to appear as R trains, complete with MTA New York City subway decals and Bay Ridge on their destination boards, even though the shots of the buildings are those of Lexington Avenue, including the balcony bridge that connects parts of College, which are on the Upper East Side, which is serviced by the IRT Lexington Avenue line, 4, 5, and 6 trains. Production designer Neil Spisek and his art department had to dress more than 100 sets and locations for the film. Pre-production, scripting, and casting were all finished within a year of the first film's release. Ah, surprise! Oh, nice catch. At one point in the promotional marketing of the film, bases featuring the Spider-Man 2 logo were to be used during Major League Baseball games. However, this plan was scrapped after intense negative reaction from baseball fans. At one time during pre-production, Sam Raimi had 12 storyboard artists working for him. Yeah, I don't think he heard that. Tritium is not as rare as it is described in the story, and it can be created artificially. Tritium isotopes are used in the instances such as illumination power sources and rifle scopes, eliminating the need for batteries. Apparently, that's actually the guy that threw the bottle at Green Goblin in the first film. Actually, nice to see him make a cameo appearance here. I recognize him now. I can definitely tell this is a callback to the first film when Spider-Man saved that baby in the first film. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Shouldn't his pants catch fire? Yeah, I remember watching this in theaters and thinking how different this was and how how bigger the stakes were. It still holds up to this day. Pardon me if I say that multiple times. Oof, do a barrel roll. Eat that spinach. Ugh. Fourth floor's a bitch. Well, Marvel Editorial has unfortunately said yes to that. Well, very considerate of her. Chocolate cake. Oh, that's the best pairing right there. That'd be great. Thanks. I think that was a yellow cake with chocolate frosting. Yeah, I still think it's funny that to this day, fans still think that Peter should have ended up with Ursula. I mean, I don't blame them. As a fan fiction writer, I'd be open to the idea of, a fan fiction that would talk about what would happen if Peter chose to be with Ursula instead of Mary Jane. That would have been interesting. $5. Yeah, that's true. $5 in 2004. Worth today. Now I have to find out. Water under the bridge. Oh, darn it. Yeah. Pardon me, the Wi-Fi can be kind of lacking sometimes. But I'm still going to try and look for how much $5 in 2004 could be worth today in 2025, given modern inflation. Let me see. I'm still here. Not good. 100%. Oof. Well, I think that's light punishment. 2004. Okay, so $5 in 2004 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $8.55 today in 2025. Why? How true. Yeah, don't strain your back. Now, actually, there isn't any glass in Peter's glasses. I think this is to make sure the lighting doesn't reflect on the glasses, which makes sense. Oh no! Oof. Oh. Yeah, and the back joke is a reference to Tobey Maguire's real life back pain from Seabiscuit. It's a pretty funny jab, all things considered. Yeah, and, he can walk it off. Most other guys wouldn't be able to. Now, Kirsten Dunst actually dyed her hair red for the role instead of wearing a wig. It does feel more natural. You just do it! We all know MJ has a type. It's just not the same, she's thinking. Earth to MJ. Now, the diner scene where Mary Jane confronts Peter, well, it's actually a 360-degree set at Universal Studios. Who would have guessed? It's like part of him wants to say yes, but the other part of him knows he has to protect being a spider protector because he's Spider-Man. It's for her safety. Say what? I wonder if Peter's heart is beating with excitement. My spider senses are tingling. Could you imagine if he didn't have his powers then? I mean, that literally could have killed him. And MJ. Whoa, yeah. I feel bad for the car, or of that car. MJ's like, who did that? Not exactly. Oof. I can definitely tell that Otto did not listen to Harry when saying, don't hurt Peter. Because thank goodness for his powers, otherwise that would have killed him. I think it's pretty cool that the tentacles can extend to literally 13 feet long. That's amazing. Oh yeah, going full beast mode. Hey, my vision's cleared. Dude, don't damage the glasses. Would he, though? I guess legally, yes. Was it really your suit? Masked Menace returns. That was actually quite a quick publishing. Now, I think by that point, Doc Ock put MJ in his abandoned lab. You know, I didn't even know that this scene was, a lot of it was done with visual effects and CGI. And, you know, the CGI for this really does hold up 21 years later. Oof. Whee! The train fight was an idea of Sam Raimi's, and it was the first major sequence to be filmed. And there were a lot of shots used for this sequence. Pardon me while I remain blown away by this. I think years later, it's definitely one of my favorite sequences from the film. I didn't even know that this was filmed in Chicago. Chicago, of all places. I mean, at least it's in the U.S. Surprise! Spider-Man 2 was nominated for Best Sound Mixing and Best Sound Editing, and won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. And as of 2025, Spider-Man 2 is the only live-action Spider-Man movie to win an Oscar, and the second Marvel movie to receive such an honor, and the only Sam Raimi movie to win an Oscar. That's a pretty big deal. You have a train to catch. You have a train to catch. Dr. Octopus just sabotaged the train brakes on the train they're riding. You better think of a good plan to save the train. You've got a train to catch. Hey, you've got a train to catch. Yes, I did just parody You Got a Friend in Me. I had to. I couldn't resist. And there's Phil LaMarr, voice actor extraordinaire, who I met at Emerald City Comic Con. He was actually going to be the one in the cameo appearance in with Hal Sparks during the elevator scene, but when Hal Sparks got the scene, Phil LaMarr chose instead to have this non-speaking role. A lot of webbing. Uh-oh. Oh, man, could you imagine if he ended up falling down on the train tracks? He'd be roadkill. Or in this case, train track kill. I guess this is Peter's bright idea. Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. This still gets intense. Well, at least nobody got seriously injured. You know, it really is. Well, it really is nice to know that these these folk they could have exposed Spider-Man for who he was, but they chose to keep his identity secret because of his bravery. Definitely a nice reminder you're watching a work of fiction, because anyone else would go for broke and say, "Oh yeah, this guy was Spider-Man." Those two kids uh, are actually Tobey Maguire's half brothers. Didn't know that until I was recording this. The things you find out on IMDb. Could you imagine if those kids ran into Peter Parker and it was like, "Oh wait, I think we saw you on the train," and then Peter has to subtly like, "Shh." Was Doc Ock just patiently waiting? You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Well, that backfired. Oof, dick. But that's a cool transition. Kind of like the whole bat symbol with the swirls in the background in the Adam West show. That's the size of a baseball. Yeah, he does that. But those tentacles must be have the ability to be quite silent when they need to. Just tiptoe around the mansion. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Oh yeah, that shocked expression. I cut that steel wire like it was tinfoil. Yep. Prepare to die. Sorry. Wasn't it silver at first? I can definitely tell it's computer graphics. A is for horses. Yep, there he is. Well, that slight smile on his face. We just keep running into each other, don't we, street rats? Now, the finale actually took 8 days to film. If it ever feels that long. Uh-oh. It's getting unstable. Oof. Oh yeah, that's totally gonna work. Yeah, those tentacles are observant. Oof, second time he got shocked today. Yeah. Uh-oh, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, run! You would think these mechanical tentacles would be adaptable to water, given the octopus gimmick. Guess not. You little... Holy redemption arc, Spider-Man? No, he isn't. Listen to us. You are not in control. I am. That's a reference to Upgrade. That's bad. I was always puzzled with the whole redemption arc as a kid, but as an adult, I like it. Surprise. She's thinking all this time. Uh-oh. Heavy. There's that word again. Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull? Sorry, I couldn't resist. I think you just made the sound I make whenever I have to lift up a trash bag full of concrete dust. Aww. Use the force! Dang, Mary Jane must have the sturdiest shoes in this film. Now, that shot of Otto Octavius sinking in the ocean, that's actually all done digitally, which makes perfect sense because if Alfred had to do the stunt himself, he would risk drowning and also water would get in his eyes. And trust me, that is not fun. Take it from me. And he had time to make that webbing. Especially the kiss in your muffled voice. It's a responsibility he has to accept. And John just hitched a ride. As did Jonah Jameson. Pardon me, I'm getting a little emotional here. Now, I remember first seeing this scene and was so shocked to see Norman Osborn make this sudden appearance, even though I should have realized, yeah, it's a hallucination. Norman? Nah, that's a bad pun. Now, Willem Dafoe's cameo was simply a happy accident. One night, Dafoe was just walking back home to his apartment in New York, and he just went to say hi to the cast and crew who were filming, and the filmmakers decided to just give him this cameo. And I think it works perfectly. Avenge me, he said calmly. Who would have known that would have led to the lair to the Goblin Cave? Okay. I wonder if it's even suitable to call it the Goblin Cave. Dun dun dun. So many pumpkin bombs. And Norman just had the time to replicate the goblin formula? When you're a mad genius, I guess you have time. He even made a spare glider. I can imagine Norman had time to make spare gliders. Now, is that her mother? I can't tell. I also like that Harry's wearing a green bow tie. I never realized that detail, but I get it. Subtle foreshadowing to him becoming the next goblin in the third film. Yeah, try explaining this. By all accounts, John Jameson should have been the villain in the third film. It would have made logical sense to have him be Man-Wolf. Don't open the caviar. And apparently, people think that this guy looking at Mary Jane is supposed to be the Punisher, played by Thomas Jane. I don't know why a lot of people think that, but that's not Frank Castle. That's just some extra that strongly resembles Thomas Jane. I thought it was his body double at one point, but like I said, the fact that he looks like Thomas Jane is a pure coincidence, and I think it's a coincidence that not even Sam Raimi intended to happen, even though it is sort of funny because, well, the Punisher made his comic book debut in The Amazing Spider-Man number 129. I have 2 copies of Spider-Man number 129. One of them is autographed by John Bernthal, who I met at Washington SummerCon. This is all true. It just felt appropriate to have John Bernthal autograph that comic. Totally worth buying that. Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot. Well, don't just stand there. Kiss her. Something. At long last, love. Ugh. Police sirens ruining the moment. Oh yeah. Go get him, Tiger. And he really got into that suit pretty quickly. And yeah, so this score on At Long Last Love is definitely one of my favorites from the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack, aside from the title theme song. And fun fact about the final song that's played when the credits roll, "Vindicated." That song was actually was actually written in 10 minutes after the band Avenged Sevenfold watched the entire film. They just felt they had to write it immediately, and it I do like "Vindicated." It's a good song. I at least wanted to praise that song before I conclude the my commentary. And that was my commentary of Spider-Man 2 from 2004. I can see why a lot of people think it's one of the best superhero films ever made and one of the best Marvel films ever made. And I can see why a lot of fans favor this film over the first film, and it's Legion's better than Spider-Man 3. I would definitely rank it as one of the best, right up there with the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. That's how much I really like it. It still holds up to this day. It improves on the action. It improves on the effects. The acting's great. It improves on character development. It's a great improvement. I would say it's right up there with Paddington 2, which is a complete favorable comparison. I enjoyed looking back on this film, and I hope you enjoyed my commentary of this film. Anyway, thanks for listening to my commentary companion of Spider-Man 2. Be sure to subscribe to my podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. Don't have a good day. Have a great day.